Folks, what you don't know could cost you a fortune. I'll get into that and then the latest home prices and insights for York Region for week ending March the 5th, 2025. Over the weekend, I'm looking at homes with one of my buyer clients, and he brought up an interesting point that I want to share with everybody here today. He's in a position, him and his wife, they're in a position where they could buy something totally renovated or that needs to be totally renovated. Obviously, two different price points, but we're looking at both types of home because they're prepared to do the renovations themselves and they've budgeted for that. And we've been looking for a while. We're looking at different properties. And on the weekend, as we're walking through one of these properties, now just before that property, we did see a property that was virtually like just very little stuff to do. It had almost everything that they wanted, fully renovated, maybe not so much their style, but it was all modernized. And now we're in one that not so much. It was original. And there's lots of homes across York Region that are original condition. They're solid homes, but they do need to be updated. So we're looking and we're walking through this home, and as we're walking, he brings up to me, he goes, Santo, I've had to reevaluate my budgeting for these rentals, because we'd often look through these homes, and when we'd see a home that needed a bunch of rentals, it's budgeting $200, $300, $400 for the rentals that need to be done in whatever home we're looking at. And he says, Santo, I've had to reevaluate everything. And I said, how so? He goes, well, with all this talk about tariffs and the cost of everything going up, with the kind of renovations that we potentially could be doing, it's not a matter of an extra 10, 15, 20,000. It could potentially increase the cost of materials substantially. I don't know if you folks remember when we had our supply chain issue a few years ago. Material costs doubled and tripled. And if you're on the wrong side of that equation when you're doing your budgeting, that could really, really mess things up for you. Well, we don't really know the extent of what's going to happen. We don't even know for sure how long tariffs are going to happen. There's so much uncertainty when it comes to that. But if this does go the route that, a lot of people are thinking, material costs could potentially really increase. So if you are now thinking you're going to budget this major reno and you're planning for it, you really need a buffer. It potentially could be a big buffer. But imagine you're budgeting, say, $200,000 to do this big reno, and the costs go up by 50%, so it's now $300,000. Can you imagine you have to come up with an extra 100,000? Like, for most people, that just means they're not doing the reno, or there's a big modification they got to do, or half the rent. Like, it could really totally change your plans. It could really mess up everything that you wanted to do there. For us and my client, we're relooking at the price that we got to buy at. So if there's a property he was going to buy, say, for 1.8 and do a bunch of rentals, he may be having to think he's got to try now to buy for 1.7 and do the rentals. Because even though costs go up, that doesn't mean automatically your budget can go up. Like, where are you pulling this money from? That doesn't mean it's what you're buying at that really has to change for many people. So I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen and where prices are going to be for materials. I'm bringing this up because it makes sense. And I learn things either from special training that I do. A lot of it is from experience. And walking around this property with my client this weekend, I thought, a lot of people should have this on their mind. if there's a potential that they're going to do renos, because there's a potential material costs can go through the roof. If you think this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. If you get value from what we're talking about, subscribe. And if you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, we made it so simple. Below this video in the description, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that or go to tsre.ca. My calendar will be there. Pick a date and time that suits you, and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. Now, let's get into the numbers. Folks, here we go. York region, we're focused on the detached market, specifically for Richmond Hill, Vaughan, Markham. This is average sold prices for about 3 months. We're going to start off with Vaughan. For week ending March the 5th, 21 detached properties were sold. Sales, although it's not a direct straight line up, sales overall, I would say, are trending up. Average sold price is $1,633,000. It's difficult from this vantage point to say which way average prices are trending. I mean, we got this one crazy week there. We get rid of that. We got the beginning. We get rid of that. Maybe trending up. Let's have a look at one of the other charts. But compared to last year, 1,633 is 11% lower than where we were this time a year ago. The median price of 1,525 is 13% lower year over year. Oh, sorry, let me go back. So we got the dotted line here, the 4-week moving average. That's the other chart I wanted to look at. Just as confusing. It's not confusing, but it's just difficult to tell which way are we trending, which kind of leads to the whole confusion in this whole economy right now. What's going on, right? Okay, so sales. This is clear. The orange, those are sales this year. The blue, those are sales a year ago for the same week. Far fewer sales this year versus last year. For this week ending, 14% of the 21 that did sell sold at list price or more. So that percentage has come way down from 50%. We have far more listings this year than a year ago. Active listings is trending up. Months of inventory, higher than what it was last week. We're now at 4.4 months of inventory. If we look at kind of the end of January, months of inventory has stayed the same. If we look from middle of February to now, we would say over the last 4 weeks, months of inventory is climbing. I'm not sure which trend we're on right now. It is difficult to say, but I do know for the week just ending, we're at 4.4 months of inventory. Pretty much a balanced market. Here's Richmond Hill. 13 detached properties were sold. 5, that's a high percentage of all sales, but 5 sold at $2 million or more. Average sold price climbed up to $1,839,000. Do we see a trend line? Again, difficult to say what's happening, and it's even harder when sales are as low as they are. But even just looking at sales, it's difficult to point out a trend right now. Compared to last year, 1,839 is 2% lower. The median price of 1,820 is 4% higher. Even trying to use the dotted line, the 4-week moving average, we could say, yeah, well, prices were trending up, but what's happening now? They're starting to trend down again. But there's so few sales. The sampling is so small. It's really difficult to say. 13 were sold. The percentage selling at list price or more, that's climbing. For this week, it was 62%. Active listings is climbing. We have far more properties being listed for sale than this period a year ago. Months of inventory, 6.6 months of inventory, pretty much a buyer's market. Here's Markham Road. Here's Markham, not Markham Road. 16 detached properties are sold. One of them was at $2 million or more. Average price way down from the previous few weeks to $1,518,000. Once again, it's difficult to see a trend, to point out a trend when it comes to sales. And average price, look, 16 is a low sampling. The weeks before that of 13 and 14, 8 and 11 sales in a week, it's even lower sampling. It really skews the numbers here. Compared to last year, 1518 is 20% lower. The median price is 15% lower. 16 were sold, more than half, 56% sold at list price or more. Active listings is climbing. Months of inventory at the top end of a balanced market, we're sitting at 4.9 months of inventory. Here's a quick summary. You're going to experience a balanced market or a buyer's market for those exceptional homes. Exceptional is a combination of how the home looks, how it's perceived, how many buyers like that home, combination of price. Those specific ones are going to sell quick, fast with multiple offers, but the majority, it's a bit of a balanced market or a buyer's market. Thanks for watching. Have an awesome day.